Hi there YouTube, Music Livery here. We are on the ground in Tindall, near Katherine, Northern Territory, and we're going to be flying back to Tindall in about an hour from now. Flight today will be in the Milviz Bell 407 helicopter, and we'll be flying over the Katherine River Gorge, often known as Nitmiluk Gorge in its native language, much like Ayers Rock is now known as Livery. You can see, I think that's, who is it, Oz, vatsim and someone else. Anyway, we're going to be heading over to the hangar to pick up the helicopter now. Nick in the 7-3, good stuff. Alrighty, there's the kind of passenger terminal I guess they have here at Tindall. Now we're going to head over to the helicopter, kind of do a little bit of a look around. Yeah, I'm seeing the... That's what I'm seeing anyway. Retro livery looks good. Yeah, if we disconnected Nick and connected him back again, it would come up randomly as either the retro liveries, there's two of them, or a normal one. I think it's biased so that it's 90% chance of a normal livery and a 10% chance of one of the retro liveries. Florian, not doing too bad. We have one workday left till Easter. Can't wait to have my 4-day weekend. Last weekend, of course, was across the pond, and I was actually working on the Saturday. So essentially I worked through Saturday, had a bit of a nap, came back, and then flew across the pond, went to bed and woke up at like 6 PM the next day. So that was my weekend. And now we'll have 4 days off in a row. Of course, we're not allowed to leave the house unless we're going to the grocery supermarket to buy food. So, and they'll be shut anyway on Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Pretty annoying. Self-isolation has been busy with work because all the other people are self-isolating. So that means my job is busier, but I'm not getting paid more. I'm actually getting less physical work done on the network, but that just means that I have to reorganize all of the technicians' runs. It's pretty annoying. It's annoying. Anyway, here is our Milviz helicopter. Now, if you're wondering if you should buy this, I would suggest not, because they've got heaps and heaps of bugs. But I think I've worked out some of the bugs, and we'll work around those. Worst case scenario, we'll need to slew up a couple of feet and let it drop down, and in dropping it'll spin the rotors around and it'll start the engines. Alternatively, I just need to push forward the fuel and that should start it. We'll see how it goes. But this is a bit of a touchy helicopter to start up. Unfortunately, I did buy it on sale, so at least I didn't have to buy it for how many dollars it is for real. I think I got it for 75% off, so that was not too bad. I do an office work job, work for the NBN, organising technicians, a little bit like a crew dispatch. So when all the technicians call in and say that they're sick or they can't go to a property for some reason, I rebalance the job so that they actually still get done by someone on that day. This is not a cracked product. I bought it off Orbix. It's got bugs because it was released like that and they've never fixed it. Basically, you can't start the engines properly if it's got a headwind. So if it's facing in towards the wind, engines just don't spin in the prop. Don't know why. Anyhow, actually that's a good shot. We're going to have a look at what we're doing here. So we are at Tindall Air Force Base, And over here we have a fly neighbourly area at Katherine Gorge, which we'll be flying into. So the CTAF at Katherine Gorge is 126.7, surface to 2,500 with that fly neighbourly area. So the fly neighbourly area for Nitmiluk, Katherine Gorge National Park. There is an understanding between the locally based scenic flight operators, such as us, and the National Park to operate in the area in an agreed responsible manner. Other pilots undertaking sightseeing flights should obtain information on FNA areas, tracking details, operating altitudes, and specific areas to be avoided from there. Except when operating a pre-arranged scenic route at Katherine Gorge, pilots are requested not to fly below minimum altitude of 2,000 feet within the natural limits above the park, which we will mostly do, apart from one thing at the end, which I really want to do, which is fly down through the gorge at, you know, the gorge is above us kind of height. We'll do that once, towards the end. There's a lot of stuff, hours of activity during the daytime only, and Katherine Gorge used CTAF 126.7. And inside the Tindall, pilots are to monitor use CTAF 119.7 unless control is online, which it is. Bell 407 helicopter uses, I think it's 600 kilograms per hour, and will be taking enough to fly the thing for about 2.5 hours. We'll only fly it for an hour. The RAAF charts, don't have the RAAF charts, just have the Ursa. So here is Tindall base on the Ursa. We're in the civil apron over here, parked outside that front hangar there. We do of course have weather. There's a full weather briefing available. We're just going to use the AWS. Which needs an 08 in front of it. 22.
Automated Weather Information Service, Tyndall Airport. Time 07040 Zulu. Wind 120 degrees magnetic at 9 knots. Visibility 25 kilometers. Present weather, no significant weather. Cloud scattered 5,700 feet. Temperature 33. Dew point 19er. QNH 1008 hectopascals. Rainfall last 10 minutes nil. Automated.
Cool. So yeah, you can go to Tindall in real life, and you'd hang around in the civilian apron. There are in fact a couple of operators of light aircraft out of here. Rent a plane today. Yeah, it's normally the male doing the AWOS. The Air Force bases use a female voice. Just cause, you know, they can. So let's look around the aeroplane. We've got this door open. Going to sit in the back for a second. Here we are. Here is the back of the helicopter, not plane. And we'll look at this wonderful, amazing door. Look at that. Opens all the way out. We've got 6 seats in this helicopter, 2 up the front, these 2 and the back 2. And technically, that one is also a seat. That's the seatbelt for there. You can see the little plugs for your headsets just behind each seat. Now, like that middle seat is not rated for a full human, but put a kid in there, it'll be fine. Seatbelt, all of that. 2 cup holders. We've also got this door over here. That doesn't open all the way like this crazy door here does. Toilet Inspector bringing out the big bucks with $15. Look at that. Okay, just looking around the aircraft. Now that we have the doors open. Somewhat of a pre-flight. Now that thing down there is a wire cutter. Basically, if you accidentally run into telegraph poles, wires, that will cut them. It's not great for telegraph wires, but it's better than getting tangled up in wires and crashing the entire helicopter onto the wires. So that's an option. Little vents at the front are literally as they are, vents. Just push some air through the cabin. That's the pitot right at the front. That'll pick up air data for the airspeed indicator. Windows at the bottom, of course. There's a tail skid and the step, essentially, to get inside the helicopter. There's the fuel, and you can open the fuel cap in this thing. Doesn't really do anything for you, but there it is, an open fuel cap, and that's shut. Not much to look at the back of the chopper, apart from the dude there. Kind of like its rudder. Tail skid. There's your A321 in the default, whatever that is, livery. Tail rotor. Lights at the top. Yeah, I'm having issues with the cold start, so we'll be doing possibly a couple of attempts. We'll see how it goes. Exhaust up the top, and all the blades are attached. Let's close some of these doors. Alrighty, I'm thinking we might close the doors and get ourselves started. Battery first. It's 33 degrees out there. It'll be nice to get the air conditioning going as soon as we can. Gotta cycle that through. Yep, minimum. Hello, Nate from USA. 1 in the morning. Okay, that's the fuel valve. It is on and locked on. Gotta check the wind direction is 107. So it's behind us. Brilliant. We can start the engines hopefully. And here is the weird bug. I'm just going to introduce fuel without touching anything about the this thing down here, the start and disengage. I'm just going to start the engine as it is. I think this will work, because if you actually use the starter, it doesn't work anymore ever again. There we go. Fuel's going. We're at minimum throttle. Right, we're going to sit in the minimum throttle while we turn on air conditioning. Couple of instruments. Hoping that the avionics doesn't crash the sim. This is about to. I think we've crashed the sim. Waiting for that to fully either crash or uncrash. And there it goes. Dead. So I said, a bit of a buggy product. Well, I have to try that again. Cool. That's alright. It started 13 minutes into the broadcast. One crash. Now it just means that I won't be able to start the engines properly. Because this helicopter just doesn't do that. So, I'm going to start the sim. And then I'm going to play a video while I do the dodgy thing that's required to make the engines work. Which basically involves taking it up into slew mode, dropping it so that the blades are spinning, doing the start sequence then shutting it down, and then it can start again. I'm hoping to get paid tomorrow, because I'm quickly running out of money. When I finally get paid, then I might look at buying a train sim or something. I don't know. Don't really have much time. I've been working this whole self-isolation thing, just working from home. Poscon, no idea. VATsim is its own thing. I don't think they compete, to be honest. VATsim's been going for 30 years or whatever it has been. Much longer than 20 years. I've been on VATsim for more than 20 years. Myself, as a person. Wrong helipad. Better than nothing. We'll do it there. Wrong time frame. Darn it. Need to modify the clock. That's ready. There we go. Sometime late morning. And if that, I'm going to give you the little presentation on Katherine while I dodgy up these engines.
Welcome to a snapshot of the Katherine region of the Northern Territory. A tree change like the Katherine region will introduce you to a more tranquil lifestyle in a region packed with spectacular natural beauty, all on the doorstep of the modern township of Katherine. A remote posting certainly, but one with much to consider. Katherine's climate is defined as subtropical. There is no such thing as 4 seasons here, rather, 2 distinct wet and dry seasons. Average daily temperature variation is generally no greater than 10 degrees year-round, ranging between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. The dry season has the least humidity, and temperatures regularly drop down to a cosy overnight temperature of around 10 degrees Celsius. There is no shortage of water though, with an average of 74 rain days a year, and generally this occurs between January and early March. Katherine marks the point where 3 traditional lands come together. The history of these cultures can be seen in local galleries and festivals, ancient rock art and crafts. Right in town is the stunning landmark that is the Godin Mayen Yijard Rivers Arts and Culture Centre, a meeting place for Indigenous and non-Indigenous people to gather and share their art and culture. The township of Katherine is just 30 kilometres away from the Nitmiluk National Park. Not only do you get to experience the breathtaking 13 separate gorges, but you can also explore the Indigenous history that has developed over the many millennia. Katherine may have a population of around 10,000 people, but it has an education platform that is equal to a large city. From childcare and early learning facilities through primary and secondary school and further into vet or TAFE and tertiary education sectors. From head to toe, Katherine has health services to cater for most primary healthcare needs. There are a number of private and public dental practitioners, along with optometry services such as OPSM Katherine. There are a selection of general practitioners and the Katherine Hospital. Katherine enjoys a great deal of services and facilities. There are all major Australian banks, many small specialty stores, a library, as well as some of the national chains you will be familiar with, such as Country Target, Woolworths, Subway, and let's not forget Coffee Club. Katherine's community is diverse. They are welcoming people from all walks of life, and your participation in community activities is valued. Of course, there is always the option of heading off to check out the latest movie in town, or enjoy one of the many restaurants and bistros. There's even the likes of Markski and his Outback Tucker dinner experience. Or perhaps it's time to go 5-star and indulge in the Cicada Lodge experience. Glamour and luxury front and centre. But where the extreme entertainment comes from is through the awesome wilderness. There is also the Henry Scott Recreation Centre, a fantastic facility that the YMCA operate many fitness and wellbeing activities from. Activities such as Les Mills group fitness classes, full gym facilities, personal trainers, a roller rink, dance classes, and can even organise music classes. Let's not forget the Katherine Aquatic Centre. The pool is heated by a solar heating system during the dry season.
Well, hopefully we don't have to do that again. We're sitting in the front of the helicopter, and hopefully we can get a proper start this time without crashing the sim. Cool. Closed. Batteries on. I'll try the master now. There it is. Didn't crash the sim. Yay. Alright, anti-collision light is in. Hydraulics are off. Top row is off. That includes the air conditioning. FX master is in. The generator is off for the moment. Looking down here, we'll start the fuel valve on. Doing a couple of checks. Do locals call it Kathy? Probably not. I've never heard of that. But then again, I'm not a local. You have to ask a proper Territorian what they call it. Okay. I apparently don't have vPilot running. It is now, and we'll start an engine. That so-called British train horn is the sound of the... it's just telling us that there's not enough power going through the props, which there still isn't. Even though the fuel is on, we are asking for power. What's the wind doing? 137. It's there. The prop won't rotate. Let's give it some juice. There we go. Now we can set it on idle. And we'll complete the rest of the checklist. Instruments set. Air conditioning is on. Yeah. We'll turn on the generator and the hydraulics. I'll chuck the lights on as well. Air trim is in. Bright lights is good. Full cabin. Don't need the heater on. Probably don't even need it. We'll chuck on the anti-fog. Might hit it. Cool. That's looking okay. Down here we have the cage off, and we can reset the attitude indicator. Come on. Cool. That's set. Tindall approach 12-19. And we will check that other one, which is 126.7. Cool. Transponder is down there. Cool. You kind of can, not really. It's not a very good idea to barrel roll a chopper. Can't get into the transponder from that angle. From there we can. Cool. Tindall approach, India Charlie Kilo is a Bell 407 on the civilian apron. We'll be departing to the northwest via the Katherine Township. Request up VFR.
India Charlie Kilo approach. Are you returning to Tindall?
I will be after some operations in the Katherine Gorge.
India Charlie Kilo, you're cleared to operate between Tindall Aerodrome and the Katherine Gorge, not above 2,000 feet.
Clear to operate between Tindall and Katherine Gorge, not above 2,000 India Charlie Kilo.
India Charlie Kilo, squawk 6620.
Squawk code 6620, India Charlie Kilo. Clear. And transponders in.
Tindall approach, Qantas 14 Alpha, ready for taxi.
Alright, we'll begin the rest of the start, which is pushing
Qantas
the
14
throttle.
Alpha, taxi Holland Boy Echo, runway 14.
Oh, we could do a
Taxi
taxi.
Holland for Echo, runway 14, Qantas 14 Alpha.
I was hoping to just go straight out, kind of in that direction. That said, there is a tank there. Let's look at the field. So tracking pretty much along the runway, remaining to the west of the runway. Still approach, India Charlie Kilo is ready for departure. Will be remaining west of the runway.
India Charlie Kilo, remain west of the runway, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff from present position, India Charlie Kilo. Don't need a taxi. Roll back a little bit. I'd like to maintain clear of the fueling station, so I'll continue going backwards just for a little while until we're past there. There's no traffic over there, so that's good. We'll go out into the
Tindall
field.
approach is 4-3, quite new to this whole VFR thing. Not under CTAF but under controlled airspace, so sorry for making mistakes. 4-3 is a super instance for the civilian apron request taxi to the active.
4-3, can I get you to submit a flight plan for me, please?
I will be putting on through in a minute.
Qantas 14 Alpha, holding to Echo, runway 14.
Qantas 14 Alpha, runway 14, clear for takeoff. Regular circuit.
Clear for takeoff 14, Qantas 14 Alpha.
Okay, heading down west until we find the river, and then we'll track up towards Katherine Township itself, fly past, and after at Katherine we'll track straight up to the gorge. Climbing through 1,000 now. Get some force trim out. There's a little button on the top here called force trim. Yeah. Says it makes it disappear on it. There we are, that one there. Basically that pushes the force, so I don't need to keep on pushing forward so much. Still a bit uncomfortable, you can't take your hands off the controls at all on these things. Catherine's out there a little bit, so we'll head on a little bit further north now.
Qantas 14 Alpha is rolling.
There's our northbound.
Whiskey November, request taxi to the runway, whatever's in operation.
Victor Whiskey November, Tindall approach. Can you submit a flight plan, please?
Yeah, sorry.
There's Katherine right over there, the township. Basically a small, well, I was going to say a small city, a large town. It's more of a large town than a small city. Like if you took a small outer suburb of Melbourne and just stuck it in here.
2000.
Qantas 14 Alpha, make left-hand circuit.
Clear the left-hand circuit, Qantas 14 Alpha.
We'll step at about 90 knots, maybe 100. Don't need to go any faster than 100 knots at the moment. There are some helicopters with an autopilot. This is not one of them. But the Augusta Westland helicopters have a basic autopilot that can maintain a heading, but they need to be at more than about 60 knots. They can't hover. There are some very rare, very expensive helicopters with an automatic hover, but you can't transition between the hover and, well, can't transition from the other direction. You have to go from 60 knots to hovering manually before you re-engage the autopilot for the hover. I think the Dolphin 109 is one of those helicopters, the one that we use at Victoria Police here in Melbourne. They've got an automatic hover, but most of them haven't. If there is an autopilot on the helicopter, it's usually just to maintain straight and level at a certain speed. That's 40 knots or more. Cool, so the flight plan that we filed was to continue straight ahead until we pass the river, and we need to pass over this position 8 HOT, 8 Hotel Oscar Tango. Once we're outside of Hotel Oscar Tango, we can track the river. We need to maintain 2,000 or below. We're at 1,500 right now.
Qantas 14 Alpha, runway 14.
At least until we hit the edge of the CTAF. And then the military C-class airspace is to 2005. So we'll head on up to 2000, now that we're on the over the township. So there's Katherine.
Qantas 14 Alpha, just give us the runway heading, please. What's the runway heading?
Now, there, of course, is the Katherine River.
The runway heading is 135 degrees magnetic.
Thanks very much, Qantas 14 Alpha.
Okay, that river's the bridge right over the river there is the Stewart Highway. That's the main highway between essentially Adelaide and Darwin. It goes through Alice Springs and all the towns. Named after the explorer Stewart, who was the first to essentially walk between South Australia and Northern Territory.
And Tindall approach Fort Australia, we've submitted our flight plan.
Qantas 3 approach, are you intending on circuits to Tindall, or what are your intentions?
Yeah, sure, we'll do some circuits to Tindall, and then after about 2 circuits we'll head up towards...
Yeah, the park in Alice Springs, they did retire one last night or the night before that.
Qantas 3, you're cleared to operate in the circuit area, not above 3,000 feet.
They already were intended to be gone by the end of this year, so whether they get back or not depends on the economy. If anybody starts flying again.
Right down.
Qantas 3 squawk 6625.
Squawk 6625 and don't operate above 3,000.
So this is Katherine River. It tracks on towards the coastline eventually. This area is pretty much a normal river, so flowing through nice and bendy and through the alluvial plains. In a little while, that's going to hit the rocky country, which is essentially flat granite that has kind of sitting on the top,
Plus 1 for Alpha, touch and go.
and it can't dig its way through that rock, so it kind of has this really weird jagged gorge that it goes
1 for Alpha.
through. Nitmiluk, they used to call it. I have Maud Creek, which is a little township. It's the last bit of civilization that we have before entering the gorge, essentially. And from there we can probably descend down to 2,000, or maintain 2,000 feet. And we'll contact approach, letting him know that we're leaving controlled airspace, maintaining 2,000, and we'll head into the gorge. Now for this one we are going to do some low passes. In fact, I do intend to fly the entire length of the gorge at gorge height. Not this pass. So for this pass we're going to play nice and safe, we're going to fly neighbourly. We're going to do all those things that they told us to do in this thing here.
In November, you're cleared to operate in
We're going to maintain at 2,000 feet.
2,000 feet. Squawk 66.
Just going to have a look at the gorge off the passenger side, then we'll do another loop back and show it on my side. And once we're sure that no air traffic controllers are looking at us, we'll head on down into the gorge. Heading eastbound.
Echo to runway 14.
I'm afraid you might have missed your opportunities. I had 747s flying domestic flights between Sydney and Melbourne on New Year's Day, and also on the 17th of February. I think there's another one about the 15th of February as well. So you should have really got on those. It is well known that 2020 was going to be the last year of the 747. And having the opportunity to fly one domestically between Sydney and Melbourne for about $95. It's not an opportunity I wanted to miss. So I packed myself up on New Year's Day nice and early and went off to the airport and jumped on one. You can see the videos from January the 1st. Unfortunately I didn't get a window seat, but you know, you take what you can get. For now though, I don't think there's any 747 passenger variants operating currently. Of course, after all of this self-isolation and business is over and done with, we might be able to get some, but any flights in the 747 at the moment are going to be long distance flights. So you'll need to be flying out to Asia or
Plus 1 for Alpha, we're going
America
to turn back in and land runway 32 this time.
Plus 1 for Alpha, runway 32, clear to land.
Runway 32 for land, plus 1 for Alpha.
we can see the rocky country starting to appear up ahead. Just a little bit more mountainous. Not particularly massive mountains, but you know, it's not flat. Also not many trees over there because it's all essentially raw rock. Yeah, even planes are self-isolating, sitting there on the runways, not going anywhere. Yeah, you don't want to be on the rescue flights because it means that you're a European citizen that got stuck somewhere. That'll be the creek right here, I think. That little town there, I think, maybe. Nah, that town, there it is. Cool. Spotted the creek. And that's the entrance to the gorge there, just coming out. You can see the river disappearing behind those hills, and behind those hills is the gorge. pick up this one, Maud Creek. Going to lose a little bit of altitude there, gained 100 feet. Tindall approach in the Charlie Kilo is at Maud Creek, considering north-eastbound to leave control zone at 2000.
Indy Charlie Kilo, identification terminated, call for re-entry.
Identification terminated, and we'll go Indy Charlie Kilo. So we'll leave our transponder transponding for a little while. We'll play nice and safe and happy and fly as if we were a proper tourist operator. What we do need to do now though is switch over to frequency.
Cleared to touch and go. Let me
into the CETA. And I'll give him a call. Katherine Gorge traffic. India Charlie Kilo is a Bell 407 at Maud Creek, tracking overhead the Katherine Gorge at 2000. Tracking north-eastbound. So if you just look off to the left of the aircraft, you can see the gorge itself starting to dig into that channel country there. And it does make a couple of sharp turns because these large pieces of shale rock are too hard for the water to essentially dig through. So it's found the gaps in the rock and continues to go through. Right now we are right overhead one of the gorges, the old waterways. Used to power through here and end in a waterfall until the river found its way over to that side, which is a little lower. Traffic Katherine Gorge in the Charlie Kilo is overhead mid-gorge at 1,500 on the right-hand bank. So there's the main part of the gorge here. That's the deepest part of the gorge. It's around 200 foot drop from the top to the bottom in that section there. We'll do one orbit of it. In Charlie Kilo doing one orbit of the main part of the Katherine Gorge, 1005. Yeah, there's some nice camping areas just around the top of the gorges, none of them down the bottom. They do have boat tours that come through the middle of the gorge. You can see this very distinctive kind of jagged edge, massive like right hand turns there, right angle turns. The river's taken quite a lot of millions of years to dig its way through there. And there is evidence of another waterway that came through and joined itself in a straight line to the main one. Would have been a major waterfall straight off here, but at some point the river's turned its course a little bit further to the north and then come through there. I'm not sure about buying version 5. I think I'll wait out Microsoft Flight Sim. I think we'll stick with version 4 till both of them come out. And then we'll make a comparison as to who's building add-ons for what. Because I don't want to be stuck on version 5 if PMDG haven't come to the party. And to be honest, version 5, you know, it's an incremental change to this version 4. Whereas Microsoft Flight Simulator will be a massive leap. Like the way that they're doing scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it just blows this out of the water. German wings closing down. That's not cool. Down to 40 knots. We'll increase the speed again, keep on heading down south. So that's the main part of Katherine Gorge. All of those beautiful right angle, almost like a square, jagged edge. And then it'll eventually pop out the other end. Come up to 2,000 feet, continue on heading east. Katherine Gorge traffic in the Charlie Kilo continuing from the main gorge further eastbound. 2,000. Yeah, it's petabytes worth of scenery data, not just software size, but the scenery on its own is several petabytes. So that will be pretty intense. Hopefully we have the bandwidth to cope. Internet, that is. I am on a 100 gigabit plan. Hopefully that works. We'll see how it goes. I, for one, am looking forward to doing a full trip around Australia in the new Microsoft Flight Sim. Well, that's the thing, you don't need a computer with enough space for petabytes of data. No one has enough space with petabytes of data. So what they're doing is all the scenery is essentially, you get a basic scenery like we have now, default, but then your computer loads in where you are and then fills that in with the very high detail data, which is the stuff that's petabytes worth of data. So essentially you're downloading constantly all the ground scenery as you fly over it. So you need a really good fast internet connection instead of thousands and thousands of hard drives. All of those hard drives are stored at Microsoft. Specifically, they're the Bing maps, slightly modified. So that'll be very interesting to see how it works. But we've already seen how Google Earth works. You don't download the entire, Google Earth onto your computer. It's on Google. And you go to the internet and say, "Hi, I'd look at this bit of the planet," and they upload it to your computer. So it'll be pretty much like that for the new flight sim. You say, "Hi, I'm flying over Katherine Gorge right now," and it throws megabytes and megabytes of data at you. But of course, sitting in a cloud storage somewhere is petabytes worth of terrain data. You can see the river now bursting over these rocks. It gets pretty shallow in parts over here. Sometimes it's less than 5 to 10 centimeters of river depth at these points. It's all coming down towards the east, the northeast. So upriver is the direction we're looking, and downriver is down that way. So to go towards the gorge, you'd have to go upstream. Now you can see these rapids down here. They're pretty fast flowing. River gets pretty skinny down here, and the white water is very fast moving, very, very shallow water. You can barely walk. It's not even worth swimming there. You can almost walk across. You see very solid, very stark ground here. No trees. Well, there's a couple of trees, but barely any vegetation at all. Up in this area you can see essentially loose rubble rocks everywhere. Yep, we're doing Tindall to Tindall via Katherine Gorge. So we're just looking at the gorge right now. It's actually pretty good. This is Australian, what they call it, FTX Australia version 2. That's where all this data is coming from. It's not exactly photoreal, but you know, makes a good effort. Makes a good effort for what it is. It'll be interesting to see the difference between this and what we get in the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, in a year or two, when we get the new sim, we'll probably fly over Katherine Gorge again and see how it is. Alright, we're going to fly back up towards the start of the gorge. And who wants to do a low-level run through the gorge at gorge height? We'll shoot down to about 800, between 800 and 200 feet. Traffic Katherine Gorge, India Charlie Kilos, a 407 tracking southbound along, westbound along Katherine Gorge at 1,900 feet. Alright, so we'll position ourselves back to Maud Creek and then we'll fly down the gorge. However fast we dare. It's kind of white water rafting in a helicopter. Star Wars style, exactly like the trench run. The old Death Star trench. Like shooting womp rats back home. Do the entire gorge, so we do want to start right at the beginning where that little township is, Maud Creek. And we'll descend down to 1,500 right now so we can stay outside of approach's hair. I disagree. I think Google has the source of every answer. You just have to figure out how to read it. Sometimes you have to figure out who's lying to you or making stuff up or what's not useful to you anymore. But, you know, research. I don't know these things because I know them. It's just because I've learned them by searching, researching. Anyway, I can't tell you the answers while I'm flying a helicopter because it's one of those hands-on things. But Google can probably answer everything, and if it can't answer everything, then YouTube might help, because YouTube has a lot of people putting tutorials about how to do things. I don't, but you know, people do. You're looking for those sweet 10-minute videos. Traffic Katherine Gorge, India Charlie Kilo is a Bell 407 at Maud Creek. We're entering the gorge at 1000 and below. India Charlie Kilo. And tracking westbound. We are no longer flying neighbourly. This bit's hard. We're getting to the zigzag now. 9-degree turns, left, right, left. There's the old waterfall to the right there. The million-year-old extinct waterfall. Straight down the middle of Gorge now. Need some music for that. Gorge shallows out a little bit from here on in. It's still pretty twisty. Another deep section there, pretty cool. We are going downriver, so it's technically getting ever so slightly lower as we head on down. This very arcade game version of Flight Sim here. Ethan Hunt stunts. Good old Mission Impossible. Pop over to that one. And that's pretty much the end of the gorge. From here on in it turns into a normal river again. Someone's asking me if I'd do a 4200 or a Pentium. What? It doesn't have the i7 in front of it. Man. Cool. So I'll head back up to a normal altitude. Traffic Katherine River into Charlie Kilos. That's 1,500. Finished up at the east end of Gorge. We're turning back towards the gorge in about 3 minutes. Yeah, it is pretty good looking, eh? Kale. Now I won't lie and tell you that that's the first time I've done that. I did practice it a few times. The thing that I did find out though, going back the other direction is harder. I think that long channel kind of tricks you into going too fast, and then you end up at those right-hand turns at a higher speed and you just can't make it. Or it could be that the right-hand turns are harder than the left-hand turns. But yeah, once again we end up in this very interesting part of the country. You have the floodplain down there, which is essentially deposited soil that came from the gorge into this alluvial plain. But still, you've got this massive rocky outcrop sitting here, this hard granite that the river can't get into. So it's just pushing it out that way. Okay, flight reviews, yeah, having a good decent PCs very nicely. Like how the helicopter's slightly drifting off to the side, I'll just chuck in some rudder to correct that. Rudder. Let's have a look at where we're going to re-enter Tindall. I think we'll call out just for Maud Creek. 17 Mile Creek, maybe? I don't know. There's the Edith River. There's some falls up at Edith River, but it's, 30 miles away. We've already been going an hour. So I think we'll head on back. We might do another run through the gorge. What do you reckon? Low altitude run or high overpass? Like, good boy. Yep. We're already there, aren't we? Alright, start going down. As I already said, I don't like this direction as much. It's harder to fly. Dropping like a rock. Got to keep your feet on the pedals on these helicopters all the time. It's like a leg day. Not like a fixed wing aircraft where you can just take your feet off the pedals after a little while and kind of relax. This thing absolutely requires all your hands and all your feet at all times. Especially down here, not much room for error. The dead end, and we need to turn very sharp to the left, which is the hardest turn in the chopper. Skidding it sideways. Red 5, check it in. Red 2, check it in. Copy, Red Leader. There's the edge of the gorge. We'll climb back up. Traffic, Katherine Gorge, India, Charlie Kilo. There's a helicopter Bell 407 climbing out of 1,000 feet on climb to 2,000 overhead Nitmiluk Creek. And tracking westbound. Switch back to Tindall. Well, I hope you enjoyed those two little trips through the gorge.
Qantas 14 Alpha's going away, and that was a dangerous approach. We didn't make it.
And we'll head back down towards Katherine itself.
Qantas 14 Alpha, this time make a right-hand circuit.
Roger, make a right-hand circuit, Qantas 14 Alpha.
Tindall approach, India Charlie Kilo, Bell 407 at Nitmiluk Creek. Tracking inbound to Tindall.
India Charlie Kilo, you identified track direct to Tindall.
Track direct Tindall, press position India Charlie Kilo. There it is. Pretty much directly southbound. There we go.
India Charlie Kilo, just view the VFR Spitfire. They are currently 5 miles in your 12 o'clock at 3,000 feet.
India Charlie Kilo, copy. Tim Burnett, g'day. Head on.
Victor Whiskey November, inbound to Tindall, Katherine join up on runway 14 to land.
India Charlie Kilo, maintain your current heading flighting 230 degrees.
230 degrees, Victor Whiskey November.
India Charlie Kilo, do you have the Stewart Highway in sight?
India Charlie Kilo, not at the moment, but we can in a second.
India Charlie Kilo, that's alright, just track direct to Tindall.
Tracking direct Tindall, thanks. And in Charlie Kilo, we've got the Stewart Highway now.
India Charlie Kilo, follow the Stewart Highway to Tindall Airport.
Well, Stewart to the Tindall, India Charlie Kilo.
Qantas 14 Alpha, runway 14, clear touch and go, make left circuit.
Good to go, make a left circuit, Qantas 14 Alpha.
Victor Whiskey November, you are cleared at visual approach. Report when you have the runway in sight.
Clear visual approach, Victor Whiskey November, and we'll report once we have the runway in sight.
Ground approach, India Charlie Kilo, just checking, do you want us to land at the civilian apron or anywhere else?
India Charlie Kilo, what's your destination?
It will be the civilian apron.
India Charlie Kilo, at this stage, track to the military apron on your side of the runway and I'll get you across when the traffic's permitting.
To the military apron and we'll sit there. India Charlie Kilo. Okay, that's interesting. We're going to sit on the military side, which is probably off Foxtrot, the RAAF apron. We're roughly there.
India Charlie Kilo, out your right hand side, report when you can see an Airbus 320 on time.
India Charlie Kilo, traffic inside.
India Charlie Kilo, caution wake turbulence, pass behind the A320, land at the civil apron your discretion.
Passing behind the A320, wake turbulence, and India Charlie Kilo.
Victor Whiskey November, visual runway 14.
Victor Whiskey November, runway 14, clear touch and go, make left circuit.
Clear touch and go and left circuit, Victor Whiskey November. Qantas 14 Alpha, just taking off again, making the left-hand circuit.
Tindall approach 423 is back again with you, leaving the area of Katherine Gorge at 3000 inbound for full stop landing.
423, track direct to Tindall.
Track direct Tindall 423.
There it is. Nice. Just stay above the position where it flew through, so we're above the wake turbulence. We're going to go to the threshold and we'll taxi around. Hover taxi.
Tindall approach 423 on us to join base or continue direct.
423, join a left base runway 14.
Join left base runway 14 423.
Qantas 14 Alpha, extend downwind.
Qantas 14 Alpha, repeat.
Qantas 14 Alpha, extend downwind.
Extend downwind, Qantas 14 Alpha. Qantas 14 Alpha, currently heading 309. We'll be making a left-hand base for runway 14.
Qantas 1 for Alpha, do you have the...
Okay.
Negative, Qantas 1 for Alpha.
Qantas 1 for Alpha.
Don't need them anymore. Cool. Transponder coming off. And we can start pulling the power. Just checking if we can drop the avionics. We can. Cooler's still on. We'll turn some lights out. Hydraulics off, and we'll leave the generator on to help it spool down a little bit, but we'll begin the power off now. Fuel valve off. Okay, be careful of the blades. You can disembark the doors, opening the main door from the door handle. Make sure you take your seatbelts off before you leave. And please move towards the front of the aircraft, towards the hangar. Conditioning is off. Defrost is off, and the collision lights are out. Off we go. Well, hour and a half, little trip around the Katherine Gorge. I hope you have enjoyed it. Yeah, it's nice to fly a helicopter every once in a while. Pity this one is so buggy with its issues that it's been giving me all week. We might look at another helicopter at some point, but I don't have one yet. I believe there are some on sale, but the aircraft that I really want is a Nemeth Designs helicopter. So we might look into that. They don't have a sale on at the moment, unfortunately. But with that, we leave you with the this guy coming into land. I'm thinking that's Nick in his 7.3. Pick him up from the other side. There he is. Good stuff. Well, that is the helicopter for now. With any luck, we'll be back in a helicopter at some point in the future. Probably to do Airs Rock, I reckon. Might do Airs Rock in the chopper as well. But we're not doing Airs Rock next. The next thing that we're doing is a massive, huge flight, which we'll do over the Easter break. And it is this one here. Coming out of Tindall, we'll be flying the 252 nautical miles all the way to Wyndham, here in the bottom of the Gulf here. Now Wyndham is a OZX field. I just found that out recently, so I thought I'd add that to the trip. So flying to Wyndham on probably Friday, I'd imagine. Good Friday. Back in a single engined fixed wing aeroplane. 252 nautical miles to Wyndham on Good Friday is the most I can next flight. And then Easter Monday we might even do a couple of legs as well, up to Gallimboor. Anyway, with that in our future. And also we have Friday night ops in Philadelphia. We have some kind of crossfire thing happening down in Orlando, Florida, and Manchester on Easter Sunday in Manchester. Manchester event called Manchester on Easter. Anyhow, that has been fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching our little low altitude runs of the Gorge. I certainly enjoyed flying it. I've been Milviz Bell, and I'll see you guys next time. Keep safe. Bye for now.